this video, we're gonna go through the latest ChatGPT update that is allowing us to create better content faster. And we will also see if this could be one of the best updates that they've dropped so far. So let's figure that out. Now, the first thing we need to know, of course, is who can access to this. And right now, only people who have access to the paid plan can use this, but before you go, if you don't have that paid plan, it's totally worth it, and you might want to know what you can do here. Another thing that we need to mention is that this is really good with coding and writing, but because on this channel we focus on how to use AI for business and for content, we're only going to focus on the part of writing. And to know how this works live, of course, we need to have some type of content to test the things. So I'm just going to start with a basic prompt. And inside ChatGPT, I'm going to choose ChatGPT 4o with Canvas. So once we are here inside of the Canvas, I'm just going to start a normal conversation with a prompt. Hey, create an email to send in my newsletter about the creator economy. Like the most generic thing I could think about. I will click to send this, and I will just close this so we can see in a full screen what it's able to do. So instead of having one chat, we have two screens. And before I show you all the magic that it's able to create, let me show you the basics first. Now, the main difference, of course, is that we are able to write, delete, and play with all the text that we have in this main part. So I'll just delete these, so we have only the title. And I can start adding a new format, so I'm just gonna select this. You see we have bolding text, we have italics, and we also have this button to have the different headings. I'm just gonna put the big one. And the way this works reminds me a lot to how Notion works. Now, if you're not related or familiar with that tool, Notion is an all-in-one platform that allows you to organize all your workflows beyond just having notes. And if you're also using that tool, you can see that it works in a similar way because we have the blocks of text that we can select. Now, as a quick note here, this format will be usually universal. Like you can just click here on this part of copy. And if I go to my Notion, that is my note-taking app, I'll just paste it here and it'll copy the same format. However, if I put it into the notes of my computer, you'll see that the format is not there. Like it has the symbols, but it doesn't work with the options from the native note-taking app. So before you create your lovely format, just make sure that it works in the place where you're gonna paste it. And going back to ChatGPT, you already saw that we have this option to copy all the text. We can also go to the previous version, and it's just what we had before, or again, move between the changes that you've been doing. And the last thing that I want to mention on these basic things is that you can upload a file, of course, and also include the knowledge that you have in that file to probably generate your output or improve the structure that you want to create. Now, I got excited when I knew about this update because there's something that in seconds just makes it even more powerful, and it's the concept of prompt chaining. If you're not familiar with this term, this is just a prompting technique. And the purpose of this technique is that you can take a small part of the output and then you focus on improving that part only or asking follow-up questions about that. For example, let's imagine that I'm gonna create an essay. And if I don't like what it created, then instead of saying, hey, I didn't like it, improve X, Y, and Z, what I can do and what I should do is to say, okay, I didn't like the introduction, let's include this part and let's do changes around that. And you keep going only with the introduction. And when you finish that part, then you say, okay, then I think we could improve the conclusion. And then you create some changes around the conclusion only. And in that way, because the focus will change, your results, of course, will be better. So first thing I want to change is all this. As I said, you can work with blocks of text. So if you select here on this icon, you'll see all the paragraph, but I want to work with all this. So right now that I have this selected, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to improve things using this prompt. And the prompt that I have says, use the PASS framework. Now, the PASS framework is just a copywriting framework. You can search this on Google. There are a lot of this. What these frameworks do is that they add a structure to your content. So PASS stands for problem, agitation, solution. And here I say, okay, explain the problem, then agitate by making the problem bigger, and then offering a list of actionable solutions too. And if I click on this, you will see how it starts creating the changes in seconds. Now, if we go below, we will see the menu that has all the power of this new update. And let's just start from the top. So the first thing you can see here are emojis. And if I click on add emojis, like I already did this and I don't like it, but let me show you. So it's writing everything again. I love the animation it has. And I think that in this case, we might have a lot of emojis. It's not necessary to have all of this. So I will just go back. And if you're creating content online, I recommend you to skip emojis as much as possible, just where you think is extremely necessary. Now that feature is lovely, but let's just skip this for now. I'm gonna restore this version and go now to the next one, that is to add the final touches to the content. And if we click here, like right now, we're not going to see a lot of things going on because ChatGPT created the output from the beginning. But you can see how it says that it's improving the readability, the consistency, clarity, and also the grammar. I don't know how you work on this, but I usually needed to take the output from ChatGPT, then open Grammarly, then paste the output in Grammarly, and copy paste all the changes that I wanted to do. For me, that was a lot of friction, and sometimes I would skip that part. And this is a little bit embarrassing. Only you're gonna know this. But sometimes, for skipping this part of improving the clarity, I would have some typo mistakes in my content, and I can see how this can help to double check things easier before you publish your content. Now let's go to the next feature, and here we have the reading level. But to analyze this part, I want to make something different, and I want to use another app that is called Hemingway. If you want to search this, it's just Hemingway Editor, and it's the first one, hemingwayapp.com. And the reason that I use this tool with the students in my program is because when they tell me, hey Celeste, how is this post going? This tool helps us to identify the vocabulary that they are using. Because on social media, we need to write as easy as possible. So here I'm gonna put the reading level, and I'm gonna put it to the maximum that it's graduate school. Now here, of course, it's a different vocabulary. So what we can do is that if in some words, keywords, you feel like it's not what you want, of course you can select the word and say, hey ChatGPT, can you give me a synonym? Can you use another word? Now, I had no idea that this was possible, but for example, let's say that in this part, I don't really know what it means, and I usually have this problem because I'm not a native English speaker, so for some words, I had zero clue of what they were talking about. Now, I can just put ask ChatGPT and say, hey, what do you mean here? And if I send this, you will see how it has a different conversation, but it's not making any changes in the main part, which I think it's amazing because you don't need to open a new chat or go to search something on Google. Again, I had zero clue this was possible until I saw someone else doing it, and I wanted to share that with you. But let's continue analyzing the reading level, and I'm just gonna copy this again. And now I will open Hemingway. But actually, I'm gonna open a lot of this because we're gonna have a before and after. And here, I will paste the output. And you can see how here in this part, it's telling us how hard is this thing to read. So this one, super hard. It's academic, that's the purpose, but for social media, we want something that it's super, super easy. Now here it says aim for number 9, but actually the best practice for social media is to have a number that goes between 3 and 5. The lower that number is, the better. So now I will go again to ChatGPT, and right now let's modify the reading level. So we're gonna go to graduate school to kindergarten. Now let's see what it creates. And this time, again, copy, paste here. And now we have a reading level of 3rd grade. So you can see here, a number 3, and the first one, we have a number 15. Now, Celeste, I knew that was gonna happen, right? Yeah, that's the goal of modifying their reading level. But here's the thing, what we have here on the canvas is more accurate than the other workflows I've tried. For example, let me show you. So let me just paste this, the one that has the number 15. But this time, instead of using the canvas, I would pretend that it doesn't exist. And we will use, like, let's say, ChatGPT 4.0. Now I will paste this, and instead of the canvas, I will put a prompt that says simplify the vocabulary of the content to have a readability level of 3rd grade. Now, let me open again another tab to have Hemingway and paste this, and you see that we have something that it's in 5. It is not 3rd grade. Now, in this case, it actually worked well. I've been doing it other times, and sometimes I start with a 12 and it ends with a 7, so it just improves it a little bit. And I work with AI all the time. I could say, yeah, let me create a GPT to do this. Let me create the perfect prompt and not sleep until I find it. But let's be real. When we are using this in our daily lives, we want something that it's fast. And that's one of the reasons that makes me love this part of the reading level. Now let's go back because we have something else. And the other thing that we need to test is this to adjust how long we want to make it. So let me put this and let's make it as short as possible. And we have less fluff. Now you can say, Celeste, why should I like this feature? One of the biggest reasons for me here is because of the KISS framework. This is the love for content on social media. And it basically means keep it simple, stupid. Because the more value someone can have in a shorter period of time, of course, the more valuable the content will be. Now, I don't know if this has happened to you, but sometimes I would try to improve the outputs that I get with a prompt. But at the end, if I had a list of 3 bullet points, it would put the 3 bullet points in one single sentence, just to make it shorter. Now, what happens here is that even if it's making it shorter, it's not losing the main essence. And why do I know that? Well, because if we go back, you can see how we have here 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet points, and in the other version, final version, we have again the 4 bullet points, but just more concise. Now, moving to the next one, we have this one that suggests some edits that you can do to your content. And even if it's a short text, we have lots of things going on. Now, what usually happens on the AI world is that we feel that it's generic, it doesn't feel authentic, it's not really specific. But now that ChatGPT is analyzing everything, it says, hey, probably you could be more specific on this part, or you can give a brief example of this. So it's helping us to be more specific, and now we can even use another tool like Perplexity that allows you to research things in more depth. And then we paste those results from Perplexity here in ChatGPT, and it'll keep writing. And the best part is that you can apply the changes in seconds once you click here to accept the changes. Now, these are all the things you need to know to use ChatGPT Canvas to create content faster. And if you want to go deeper on this topic, I also did a video talking about the 10 most common mistakes that you could be doing when using ChatGPT. And of course, how to fix them to stop getting generic outputs. So you can check that by clicking here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you there. Bye-bye.